Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with fabulous concert programs number 112 and number 5 in our cycle of all of the Glazunov symphonies, trying to demonstrate, successfully demonstrating, of course, that Glazunov is a seriously neglected master whose symphonies would grace any program. Doesn't mean we'll actually hear one, but we can play them at home. Now, this program is designed as kind of the antithesis of the previous one, because the previous program, which had Glazunov's Fourth Symphony and Tchaikovsky's Second Piano Concerto, had only 2 big works. This program has 5 works. It goes in the other direction, but those works are very, very, very interesting, as you will see. The way we put them together here, I think, is kind of cool. So let's begin at the beginning with the Bizet, L'Arlésienne, Suite number 2. That's the one with the farandole at the end. It's wonderful. The whole thing is wonderful. But the thing that makes it very interesting is the use of the saxophone, that wonderful French instrument invented around the 1840s or so, that some composers started to use, but it's never quite successfully found a permanent home in the orchestra. In any case, there's one in L'Arlésienne number 2, and there's a reason for it, which we will come to in a moment. Then we have a series of short pieces on either side of intermission. First, Debussy's Danses, Sacrée et Profane. I love this work for harp and strings. It doesn't get played very often, but every orchestra's got, major orchestra has a solo harpist or couple harpists on call, and there's not a lot of really good harp repertoire. Well, actually there is. I did a whole video on wonderful modern harp concertos, none of which ever get played. Maybe we'll throw one of those in these programs too. There's a possibility. But this is an absolutely lovely work, and it doesn't get any kind of play. So we're going to do the Debussy. And then one of the great works from Glazunov's Paris period. He left Russia after the revolution and settled in Paris. And he wrote very little music from that point on. But there were some interesting things, one of which was his saxophone concerto, which never gets played. Basically never gets played. I've never seen a performance of it. I've never seen a performance of it announced. It's for saxophone and strings, so just as the Debussy is for harp and strings. So yeah, we're going to wind up with the concerto, but the concerto is going to be by Glazunov. It's not a terribly long work, but it's mellifluous and lovely and fun to listen to, and it wraps up the first half in a very satisfying fashion. 3 relatively brief, tuneful, attractive works. Then intermission. Everybody gets their cough drops, their orange drink, hits the bathroom, whatever you want. Then you come back, you get a couple snacks, You come back and we begin with one more short work. It's only about 6 or 7 minutes long, but it's so much fun and it never gets played. And it fits with this program of short works for less favored instruments. Vaughan Williams' Romance for Harmonica and Orchestra. Now, of course, you've got to find a harmonicist, a harmonicist, a harmonicaist, whatever they are called, but it doesn't matter. We're putting it on the program, and you can find a recording of it. It's so lovely. It's a very late work and extremely well written for the instrument and for, the accompaniment, and lots of fun and very, very unusual. And I think that it would be just delicious at a real concert to actually have someone come out with a harmonica and play the damn thing. I mean, can you imagine? These are pieces that just don't get performed. So there is that work. And then finally, the Glazunov Symphony No. 5. So Glazunov shows up twice. Once in the context of his exploitation of interesting or unusual timbres and writing for neglected instruments, and then in the more traditional role as a symphonist. And one of the reasons I think that this program really works is because Glazunov has a reputation as not being comfortable writing in large symphonic forms, which is nonsense. If you know his string quartets, he was masterful at writing in large forms. They may have been conventional forms, but he certainly knew how to fill them up with good material and how to work things out in a extremely satisfying way. So after hearing all of these short pieces, his Fifth Symphony, I think, is going to make an even more imposing impression, even though it's not terribly long, because it is an extended work. You get to hear things worked out in greater detail. And the fifth is, I think it's his best symphony. I mean, it's one of his best symphonies. It's actually from number 4 on, we're in really good shape. Well, from number 1 on, we were in really good shape. But 5 is a masterpiece. It really is. It's just wonderful. It's deliciously scored. You don't get the saxophone, but you get the harp, which is lovely. And you've got a scherzo that's got an amazing trio, which is a little toy march, almost like from the Nutcracker Suite type toy march for glockenspiel with cymbals and triangle. I mean, it's so delightful. And, for people who think that Glazunov's music lacks muscle, listen to this finale. It's one of these sort of folk things. It's as muscular as the finale to Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony. It really is. I mean, it just goes off like a shot and keeps going. It's got like a folk dance thing in it, and it's brilliant, incredibly brilliant. And what really, I think, sets the seal on Glazunov as a masterful symphonist is the fact that, unlike so many other composers, he doesn't suffer from the finale problem. In other words, his finales are not excessively long-winded, formally dysfunctional. They really, really get the job done. They set the seal on the entire work. And this finale does it more than any other you've ever heard. And it has so much raw energy and vigor and sort of masculine athleticism. I mean, it's just marvelous. Fabulous piece of music. If you don't know Glazunov's Fifth, I mean, just go for it. I mean, listen to it as soon as you possibly can, because you are really going to love it. It's just an incredible piece of music, as fine a romantic symphony as they produced in the second half of the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th. And with all of this music, it's not a ridiculously long program. It really isn't. I mean, the second half with the symphony and the romance, 45 minutes maybe. The first half, it's like 20, about 40, 45 minutes as well. It's a very well balanced program. For all of that, for all this, what looks like a mishmash, when you play it together, you realize it isn't at all. These pieces somehow work. They fit and make a very, very satisfying whole, but one which is consistently ear-catching and intriguing, and you will never, ever in a billion years hear it in an actual concert. It will only be heard in the concert room of your imagination or your listening room, that too. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me, and go try out these Glazunov pieces. You're really going to be happy with them. I guarantee it. Take care.